Before we finish, Paul, I'd like to just have a look at some of these particular freight markets and how all of this is affecting them. First, if we might pivot back to the US domestic freight industry, I'll put that large umbrella over for it and I'll let you break that down. You mentioned inflation before. We've got a freight recession, we've got a potential economic recession. Rates are down, costs are up. How resilient are those companies? Are you expecting redundancies? Are you expecting failures? How do you view that market?
We're seeing, especially in North America, what we've seen in past business cycles when there's a downturn in freight demand. We're in a traditional pattern that even really escapes a focus just on what's happened in the pandemic, where when the periods of peak demand occur, the industry adds capacity. It adds capacity in workforce and equipment and facilities, but all that takes time. You could add some workers maybe more quickly than you can add a new freight terminal, or buy a new ship, or even, especially in the pandemic, acquire new trucks, or other freight equipment. But those orders that were placed during the peaks in the pandemic, finally get filled, and that capacity comes on with a lag, and it comes on in the face of softening demand. And we've seen that supply demand shift, where demand weakened and supply continued to strengthen. So rates have then fallen dramatically. In some cases, in the margin, we're down double digits in rates. And the ocean transportation, rates on North America, Trans-Pacific is probably the most extreme example, down 80, 90% from the peaks that they had hit. Dramatic swings, and that has financial repercussions for the carriers that went through those whipsaw record high rates really across mode of transport. I mean, it was true at air cargo, it was true in trucking, it was true in rail, it was true in ocean shipping. All of those record high rates for those companies, and now faced with dramatic downturns in the rate environment where there's too much capacity chasing that weakened demand. And consequently, some of the companies that were weaker financially are not making it. They're not going to survive, and that there'll be consolidation. We've seen merger acquisition activity. Some of the stronger have bought the weaker. And we'll even see probably some continued failures as some of the companies at the margin don't make it. And that, especially at the smaller companies, we've seen a lot of new entrants that had come into the market have already exited the market. That's true from container shipping on the Trans Pacific to trucking domestically in the United States.